The world of Big City Greens is filled with plenty of colorful characters, from the wholesome and the wacky to the cunning and even cruel. But while we've already ranked the characters on their morality in order to find the goodest of the good as well as the worst of the worst, we have to wonder, who are the most powerful characters in Big City? Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Big City Greens, Weak to Powerful. As always, we're going to be starting with the weakest characters before working our way up to the most powerful. We can't mention all the characters as Big City Greens has a pretty huge cast, especially when it comes to its minor characters, but we'll try to mention as many as we can. Additionally, we just won't be looking at physical strength or fighting skill. We're also going to be incorporating each character's intelligence, influence, and any resources they may have into their ranking. With all that out of the way, let's get started. The title of weakest Big City Greens character has gotta go to the former CEO, Chip Whistler. Now, if we'd done this list before the episode Chipocalypse Now, we likely would have placed Chip somewhere in the upper half of the list. After all, as the CEO of Wholesome Foods, Chip had access to a ton of cash, an army of reinforcements, and even things like a wrecking ball and a tank that shot out coffee. Unfortunately for him, Chip lost all of these things after he was defeated by Cricket and the rest of the Greens for the final time, getting fired from his CEO position and banished from Big City in the process. Outside of his loss status, Chip doesn't really have much. He isn't very strong, getting his butt kicked pretty easily by Gloria, and often needing his workers to do everything for him.
The human death machine, please!
Cricket was even able to pin him down, and while Cricket may apparently be really dense in terms of body weight, he's still just a 10-year-old. So, yeah, kind of pathetic that Chip wasn't strong enough to push Cricket off him. Really, the only thing Chip has going for him is his durability. With how often he gets hurt or injured, it's kind of impressive that the only parts of him that get seriously injured are his teeth. At the time of writing, we aren't sure if Chip will ever return to Big City or regain any sort of power, but for right now, he lands at the bottom of our list. Up next, we have Kiki, Wheezy, and Benny. We're putting these three together not just because they share the same role, that being secondary friends to the show's main trio of Cricket, Tilly, and Remy, but they also have the same amount of power, in a sense. They're just average kids who don't really have any noteworthy strengths, skills, or resources.
Aw, man, what? I can't afford that.
The only slight exception to this is Benny, who could possibly have a bit of influence on others, thanks to both his cuteness and his popular Ding Dong account. Then again, with how fast the internet works, who knows if he's even still popular. Our next character is Phoenix. Being the Greene family dog, Phoenix is friendly, protective, and brave, always looking out for her family, especially Cricket. Being around 10 years old, Phoenix spends most of her days sleeping and lazily scratching at fleas. When the Greens are away though, she takes her role as queen of the farm animals very seriously, doing all she can to look after them and stay out of trouble.
Your kingdom is in good hands.
Because of her age, she can sometimes struggle physically. This was seen when Phoenix lost her first with the rooster, Cogborn. However, for what she may sometimes lack in strength, Phoenix makes up for in determination and nobility. She's an excellent leader for the other farm animals, which in turn allows them to act as her allies, and she still has enough life in her to intimidate other dogs. We felt that this was enough to earn her a spot that, while still low, was at the very least higher than other characters. Following her is Nancy Greene. First appearing halfway through Season 1, Nancy is easygoing and just a bit mischievous. One of her most notable traits, as well as one of her strongest skills, comes from her being a motorcyclist.
Time to get that trailer back.
She was the fastest in her former gang, the Stingers, and even after several years of not racing, Nancy still proved that she could be both fast and clever while on the road. Nancy is also a fighter. Though not professionally trained, she's still willing to stand up for and protect her family. She even kicks over a statue in the hopes of slowing down Chip during Chipocalypse Now. Nancy was also able to show off her baseball skills in the episode Batgirl, being able to throw pitches that were pretty much unstoppable. But then again, she was an adult playing against children, so we can't give her too many points. At the very least, it shows how physically fit she is, even if she isn't particularly muscular like other characters on this list. Next is Gloria. It took a bit for Gloria to find her footing when it came to city life. Being fresh out of college, Gloria often struggles financially, being forced to work a dead-end job at Big Coffee and living in a tiny one-room apartment for most of the series. She has a few positive strengths though. When she and Cricket go on a coffee bean retrieving mission, we learn that Gloria took Taekwondo and youth soccer as a young girl. She's then able to use the skills from both to help take Chip Whistler down. Although her fighting skills ultimately weren't enough to win a fight against Chip's guards in Chipocalypse Now, her martial arts moves still aren't something to take lightly. Additionally, Gloria is an incredibly hard worker, and while she may be stressed out under the surface, she doesn't let it impact her performance.
I spent all day cleaning up your mess.
It's her determination to continue working hard for her dreams that wins her Alice's favor, allowing her to start her own business. Though her cafe is still in its beginning stages, having her own business is still very impressive. And with how many people in Big City love their coffee, it could eventually prove to be a pretty fruitful business too. Next is Gwendolyn Zapp. Gwendolyn is a character who's mostly known for two things, her tech and her insanity. Although this list is more focused on power than intelligence, we should mention that Gwendolyn's brain, for as kooky as it is still probably her greatest asset. Her company, Big Tech, is one of the most affluent companies in Big City.
I'm incredibly rich and incredibly crazy.
Gwendolyn's tech itself is pretty much on the level of sci-fi, and as such, she's able to do both a lot of good and a lot of damage. She has rockets that can easily take her to Mars, numerous robots and AIs that can assist her, and software that can eliminate people's flaws. The third season's Halloween special also saw her develop a growth hormone that ended up creating an army of monstrous mutated pumpkins. It's a bit scary to think that this is just a tech that we've seen from her on screen. I mean, who knows what she's doing off screen? What keeps Gwendolyn and her tech from being ranked any higher, however, is how often things go wrong with her machines or experiments. As smart and powerful as Gwendolyn might seem, it doesn't matter too much when a glitch, a system error, or a hidden weakness can easily take her and her tech out. So we had to place her towards the middle of our list. We finally reach another member of the Greene family with the next character on our list, Tilly Greene. Being a pacifist, we don't often see Tilly being physical too often, being more likely to use her brain or her well-spoken words to win. However, that doesn't mean that Tilly isn't strong. Far from it even. One of Tilly's most well-known and strongest powers is her animal magnetism. Although originally taken as some sort of quick joke about Tilly being a bit weird, she seems to legitimately have a strong connection to animals, to the point where she can both sense them and telepathically communicate with them. This is seen in episodes like Tilly's Goat and Mama Bird. However, it seems to only work with animals and not humans, as she failed to telepathically connect with her friend Andromeda. Tilly can, however, briefly hypnotize people, like she did in the episode Sellout.
Would you like to buy some vegetables from me?
As for her purely physical skills, Tilly was able to defend herself pretty well against the mutant pumpkins and squash, and though she didn't want to throw any punches, Tilly was able to tire her opponent out and win an award in boxing. Overall, Tilly has a lot going for her, but while her mental strength is admirable, it can't always compare to physical strength, hence why she ultimately lands here. Community Sue is next. Given that she's a coach, it's only natural that she would be pretty skilled at sports.
And now it's your turn!
Outside of her large, buff physique, we learn in the episode Winner Winner that Sue competed and won trophies in several sporting competitions. Sue is also a good teacher, able to offer advice relating to both athletics and life itself, as we see when she helps Cricket with his feelings regarding Gabriella, as well as when she helps Gloria improve her crepes and accept constructive criticism. Really, her only notable weakness, beside her having no indoor voice whatsoever, is her lack of talent as a kid's baseball coach specifically. Though not terrible, her crumbling under the taunt of her rival coach was just a bit embarrassing. But putting this episode aside, Sue manages to be a pretty impressive force that's able to run the community center in a tough but fair way. Next is Officer Keys. Though incompetent at times, Keys manages to be both a decent cop and a decent threat when he wants to be. Nowhere is this better seen than in the episode Green Streets. Once Keys gets serious, he's able to keep up with someone as fast as Cricket and is even able to jump over buildings with ease. This isn't the only time Keys has shown a lot of skill and strength.
Thank goodness. Being tough is so exhausting.
Like most cops, he knows how to kick down doors without seriously injuring himself, and he was able to tackle Nancy in Chipocalypse Now with relative ease, not even needing to lift his arms. Between his decent amount of strength and his authority as an officer, Keys has a lot of power. However, because he tends to be clueless and easily persuaded so often, we felt that we had to knock him down a few spots. Next is Cricket Greene. If we're being honest, Cricket is probably the physically strongest child in the series. Though he's not exactly picking fights with people, Cricket is agile and scrappy, having the skill to make it through a football camp obstacle course and having the upper body strength to easily climb trees. Cricket was also able to use an ordinary kite to take out a trio of drones in an impressive show of skill. Adding to his agility is his talent at parkouring, as we've seen him demonstrate multiple times. Cricket is also tough and durable, able to walk up injuries that most kids wouldn't be able to. His determination also boosts his strength a lot, allowing him to push his limits and accomplish what seemed like the impossible. He was able to win a fight against Alice, which is not easy, in order to earn himself a spot on the family quilt, and he ate a giant sundae all by himself so that his family could have a free meal.
I came here to give my family a meal.
Finally, while he's not exactly the smartest Greene around, Cricket does have his moments of cleverness, being a very skilled manipulator despite his young age. All of these traits earn him a fairly high spot in our list. However, there are still several adults, and even one more child character, that outrank him in terms of overall power. Entering our top 5, we have Bill Greene. Being a hardworking farmer, it should be no surprise that Bill is as strong and durable as he is. Being the biggest of the main characters, he's often shown lifting the other characters with ease. While yes, this is mostly due to his kids and mother being much smaller than him, it's still impressive. Besides, we do see him lift or toss around other characters who are in his weight class, like the deer that got out on the freeway or Chip's construction workers in Chipocalypse Now. His most impressive feat of strength was when he was able to hold up several heavy store shelves. While he may still have needed help escaping from underneath the shelves, the fact that he was able to hold them up at all is noteworthy.
Oh, no, you don't! You ain't gonna meditate me, sir!
Bill can also be pretty wise when it comes to things like gardening and farming, home improvement and trapping. We should also mention his agility. Though it's not as impressive as Cricket's due to his age, Bill was able to take up his persona of Backflip Bill once again, having the agility needed to pull off a decent floor routine. Not very many heavyset middle-aged adults can do that, so we still think it's impressive. While a couple things may hold him back, such as his age and his occasional awkwardness, Bill still managed to be one of the most powerful characters in the series, on raw strength alone. Barely missing out on the podium of power is Alice Greene. Honestly, if Alice were just a bit taller and a bit younger, she'd probably be even higher on this list. But for what it's worth, her elderly age doesn't stop her from being a total powerhouse. It's implied that Alice fought in one of the Great Wars. So not only is Alice a fighter, but she's a military-level trained fighter.
No one's gonna stop me from leaving.
She knows how to be stealthy, set traps, and wield weapons, with her favorite being her trusty sword as well as her cane. Her age also gives her very little trouble most of the time. According to her doctor, she's one of the healthiest people that he's ever seen. She's able to keep up with an intense Zumba class and can eat a whole salt and pepper, which is said to be hotter than 7,000 suns in one bite. Finally, Alice's driving skills, though a little reckless, is impressive, enough for her to escape and destroy Crunchosaurus. Though she might not be in her prime, Alice shows that even older people can pack quite a punch when they want to. The Bronze Medal of Power is going to Remy Remington. Yeah, this is where resources and financial power play a huge role in our ranking. On the surface, Remy is weak. The fact that he needs a bodyguard to keep him safe is essentially proof of this. In addition to not being very physically strong, agile, or fast, Remy can also be pretty sensitive and emotional, often crumbling under stress, and is easily manipulated by social media and influencers like Itchaboy. But what Remy lacks in muscle, he's able to make up for in a few key areas. The most obvious example is, of course, his wealth.
I'm spending $1 million to go live on a boat?
Being a rich kid, Remy's often shown buying things with his allowance, not really having any financial worries and almost always having expensive things. As we mentioned at the start of this list, money serves as a great power boost. Remy's also intelligent in his own right, being the one to figure out the proof he and Cricket needed to show that Chip's petition in Chipocalypse Now was fake. Speaking of that episode, we had to mention Remy's final power, one that essentially turns one of his biggest weaknesses into a strength. When the boys were cornered by Chip's guards and needed a distraction, all Remy had to do was turn on the waterworks and the guards immediately became sympathetic to him. Cuteness and sympathy can be a power, and Remy can certainly make it work to his advantage. All these things combined earn Remy one of our top spots. For the silver medal, we're giving it to the Remingtons, Rashida and Russell. While Remy has plenty of his own power, it's safe to say that his parents are able to outmatch him. Like Remy, they are extremely wealthy, due to Russell being a retired pro athlete champion and Rashida being a successful lawyer. In Rashida's case, she's also likely very intelligent, as most lawyers often are. But along with their age, height, and overall status, the Remingtons are also surprisingly strong and physically fit.
You're in big trouble, young man.
Now, we can't necessarily call them the strongest big city characters, as it's likely that Bill, Alice, and one other character who we'll get to in a moment could beat them in a one-on-one fight. Still, in the episode Dinner Party, where the Remingtons and the Greenes play football, Rashida and Russell were able to go toe-to-toe with both Alice and Bill without too much trouble, even getting a few good hits in. Again, we can't say anything about their combat skills outside of the football field, but these two managed to be incredibly strong. For these reasons, we give this couple a high ranking. Finally, for our gold medal of power, we're giving it to Vasquez. So, remember how Chip once called Vasquez a human death machine? Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Vasquez essentially has all the strength, skill, and combat know-how that Alice did in her prime. It's said that he trained in both the Special Forces and the Order of the Fangs. So not only does he know how to defend and fight, but also hunt and kill if necessary, using a wide array of weapons. In the episode Winter Greens, Vasquez took what was meant to be just a fun snowball fight to a whole new level, showing off all skills, and essentially becoming a snowball-wielding Terminator. He was able to fight off Chip's construction workers with Alice by his side, and in the episode Taken, we saw Vasquez defeat a whole army of ninjas all on his own. The only thing that could take away from his impressive list of accomplishments and skills is his one and only rival, Viper Fang.
Give me what is mine, or you shall feel my full wrath.
Although Vasquez is able to defeat nearly every other opponent he's put up against, he seems to struggle against Viper. There's even a chance that he would have lost his most recent fight against Viper if not for Bill stepping in when he did. But hey, while he may seem like a machine at times, Vasquez is only human. And even with his near losses against Viper, he's still an incredibly strong, skilled, and powerful bodyguard. We could think of no one more deserving of the title of most powerful Big City Greens character than him. Alright guys, that is the list. Let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Weak to Powerful playlist, where we break down who the most powerful characters are in your favorite cartoons, movies, and shows. But most importantly, stay wicked.